So we got lots of updates on Fire Emblem If this week. There have been some changes to the weapon triangle, and item durability has been completely removed. Each individual version of the game is as large as Awakening, and the black and white versions will require different gameplay strategies. There's also a new Dragon Pulse ability that can alter the battlefield terrain, so you can change deserts to plains, to water, to forests, and every which way. It sounds pretty cool. And there's a new arena system that rewards players with something that isn't experience, although exactly what that means will be revealed at a later date. Finally, custom avatars like Robin from Fire Emblem Awakening are now going to be a staple of the franchise moving forward. So they're clearly rethinking the conventions of what Fire Emblem is, and breaking a lot of rules that have become a part of the series formula. A lot of what they're doing, they've said, is in hopes of opening up the franchise to new players, making it more inviting. Awakening already accomplished a lot of that, but they want to take it a step further, a big leap forward.
It's also cool to look at the areas where they're making some of these changes, like the item durability, for example, because if you look back at the original games on NES, item durability would have been... Nowadays, it would be a primitive way of adding sort of limitations to the way items are used, but now, of course, the programming and the design is more sophisticated. So it's not really... It's not just a accessibility play, it's also a modernization play. And I think if there's anything Awakening did really well, apart from, making Fire Emblem more accessible, it was making Fire Emblem a truly modern game. So it's good to see that they aren't, content with what they've done so far, and they're trying to push the envelope even further.
Yeah, although I do, based on the reactions I've been seeing online, I'm kind of wondering if they could be going too far. I mean, I myself am not a Fire Emblem fan. Not for lack of trying, it's just really for lack of time. But I know I've seen quite a lot of negative reactions to things like the item durability being removed, and just kind of apparently the overall difficulty, the range of difficulties being pared down even more. So, I just wonder if if they risk going too far in terms of turning veterans off with all these kind of modernization changes they're making. Personally, I think that sounds great. I hate item durability in any game where it exists. It drives me crazy. But if I was a longtime fan, I can see why people seem to be a little upset.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really good question, and we'll have to see how it turns out. The thing to consider is that Fire Emblem traditionally, the hardcore fans are such a niche part of Nintendo's audience. So I wonder if the backlash from the really hardcore fans who really believe in these systems like item durability will end up outweighing how much it opens the franchise up to newcomers. So I guess we'll kind of have to wait and see on that. But I do like what you said, Alex, about modernizing the franchise and rethinking these old conventions that were a staple of the series because of previous hardware limitations, and instead modernizing it with the new ones. And that's something I wish they would do in a lot more of their franchises, honestly. Pokemon certainly comes to mind.
It feels like they come around to doing it with like one franchise at a time. One of them will have its renaissance moment, and then from there it just seems to be on the up for a while. Yeah. We had that with Metroid Prime. That was sort of a similar moment. And it may be that now that they're rethinking how their relationship to the internet will be going forward, and their relationship to hardware, that we could see a lot more changes like this.
Yeah, I mean, that's something they've talked about with Zelda, for example, too, is changing the formula, challenging the conventions. So that might be sort of an idea that they're trying to get across multiple IP.
Yeah, and I mean, especially with Zelda, with the whole cancellation and not being at E3, we're not going to see that game for a long time. That series could be in for a huge renaissance.
Yeah.
We have yet to see.
Zelda, I think, in particular, is really ripe for it because... it's kind of been, I won't say in a rut since Ocarina of Time, but the Ocarina of Time's clearly been the template for everything that came after it. And, maybe it doesn't have to be that way since large world action games have changed so much in the last 10 years. Maybe it's time to just scrub Ocarina from development mindset completely.
Hello everybody, thank you for listening to this Nintendo Week clip, NWC. If you like what you hear, please subscribe to us here on YouTube for more highlights and discussion videos from Nintendo Week podcast, or subscribe to us on iTunes for weekly breakdowns of all your Nintendo news, discussion segments on subjects, games, and more, and tons of other features. Thanks for listening, and we will see you tomorrow with another NWC.